So I joined the Army as a Cavalry Scout, and I left the military in 2010, and my rank leaving the military was E5, Sergeant. So I was Sergeant Kendrick.
So serving in the military to civilian life now, what's your home life like? Can you just talk about the transition?
Yeah, my transition was really rough because at the time I was the only person in my family to have joined the military. So when I got back to Rochester, nobody knew exactly how to treat a veteran and nobody knew the mental health resources that I needed. So I struggled for a long time. And I have, there's something called a mental health desert, just like we have food deserts throughout the country. And in Rochester, I didn't know where to get the mental health support that I needed. And because I wasn't fully enrolled into the VA yet, it took me some time. And the VA, that's the Department of Veterans Affairs, for those who may not know, I didn't know where to go at all. So when things got really bad, I had two options, and that was to drive an hour to Buffalo or an hour and a half to Syracuse. And that depended on if I had the gas money at that time, because I was struggling so bad, I wasn't receiving any type of income for about a month and a half when I got back, that I didn't even have the money to afford the gas to go to either Buffalo or Syracuse. I was taken into a program in Rochester called the Warrior Salute Program. And that program taught me how to be David Kendrick again. For a long time, I was struggling trying to find myself as a civilian in Rochester. And I started talking to other veterans in group therapy. And that's when an organization approached me called Source America. And they said, hey, we heard you do a really good job at speaking. Would you like to try speaking on stage? And once I was on stage, that became my therapy, talking about what I went through and being able to communicate that to an audience that may not know what veterans go through, and to also speak for those other veterans who may have passed away from suicide due to their own mental health struggles.
Would you say now that the state of Georgia or just the country is doing better with taking care of veterans? What's your opinion on that?
There's a lot of work that needs to be done. A lot of work that needs to be done. And why I love what I do as a AmeriCorps Vista volunteer and as a professional speaker, I get to go on stage and tell those stories that some veterans may not be able to tell or don't want to tell or may not even know how to tell. So I think that the more people who hear my story and the more parents and caregivers of veterans who hear my story, it will make it easier for states like Georgia and eventually the entire country to know what resources veterans need for their mental health. When I got home, the military is a community that has a bond like no other. And when I got back home to Rochester, I didn't have that anymore. And I was 23 years old. I was disabled. I was trying to work civilian jobs or regular jobs, and I didn't exactly know how to do that. The more that you know yourself and the better the people around you know you, and I would say your triggers or your symptoms, then the easier it is for you to deal with your recovery.
So, with the 4th of July coming up, what does that holiday mean to you?
Well, it's our independence, and it's where we celebrate freedom in the country. And it's where a lot of veterans throughout the country, and also our men in blue, and everybody who defends America.
Would you say it's more of a holiday that could be triggering for veterans?
Well, the Fourth of July, it can be very triggering to veterans. First of all, because of the fireworks, and for those veterans who live with PTSD like myself, I was shot by a sniper, and the sound of a sniper's rifle, it can sound just like a firework. It's not perfect, and I don't think it'll ever be perfect. But when you put your life on the line to defend others, holidays like the 4th of July, it means so much more, especially to those like myself who are Purple Heart veterans who got injured defending the country. It means a little bit more to celebrate that independence and the freedoms that we have today.